So today we're going to be having a look at two fragrances, Bentley for Men Intense and Bentley for Men Absolute. So I better try and explain, hadn't I really, the difference between an intense version of a fragrance and an absolute. There was an original Bentley for Men which smells pretty much like this, the intense, but a little bit weaker. So what's the difference? Well, an intense flanker takes the original fragrance and it intensifies that concept. It intensifies the notes and gives you a fragrance which is absolutely more intense, but not absolute. It's an intensified version that you will absolutely find more intense. But with the absolute flanker, what they do is they take the absolute core of the original fragrance and they give you that in its absolute form, which of course will be more an intensified form, but it's not intense. The intensifies the absolute core of the original one. It absolutely is intense, but the absolute version will be an absolute version which intensifies the absolute essence of the fragrance. So, I'm getting a bit muddled up. Let's try that again. Yeah. Okay, so people are asking what's the difference between intense and absolute when flankers are named these things. And, just to put it simply, I haven't got a clue. Hello and welcome back to everyone in the smelly army. Today it's time for a fragrance showdown. This is something I'm hoping to be doing a few of in the coming weeks and months. So we're going to take two fragrances with some reason to compare them, and I'm going to decide which one I think is best. So it might be two fragrances as we have here from the same company, might be two fragrances that are supposed to smell very similar. In some cases maybe one that's supposed to be a copy of the other, or whatever. Anything where there are two fragrances and a reason to compare. So here we've got Bentley for Men Intense and Bentley for Men Absolute. Before we get into my opinion, let's find out some more important information about these two. Bentley for Men Intense was released in 2013. The perfumer is Natalie Lawson, who also did Encre Noire, amongst other things. I found this for a price of £27.66 on Notino UK. That's 100ml eau de parfum. Notes on this one then. The top notes are bergamot, black pepper and bay leaf. In the mid we have clary sage, geranium, cinnamon, rum and woody notes. And in the base it's leather, benzoin, incense, cedar and patchouli. Bentley for Men Absolute was released a year later in 2014. I found this on Notino UK for £34.90, again 100ml eau de parfum. In the top we've got ginger, pink pepper and olibanum. In the mid it's papyrus, sandalwood and cedar, and the base notes are amber, oud and moss. The perfumer for this one was Michel Almeyrac. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He was also responsible for Gucci Pour Homme, and that was 2003, and also in the same year Rochas Louis. Okay, so two very reasonably priced fragrances, and both with really good reputations in the fragrance community with some good reviews out there. Bentley, of course, is a British car company, a luxury car company competing with things like Rolls-Royce. They have a few other fragrances out. The original Bentley for Men is similar to Bentley Intense, but slightly less intense, less rich, but similar kind of scent profile. And they have one called Azure, which is more of a citrusy scent. Didn't excite me much when I tried it. So I'm going to start with Bentley for Men Intense. I have done a full review a couple of years back, but let's hear my thoughts about it now. So this one, well, boozy is definitely a good word to start with here. It definitely opens with this blast of rum and or whiskey, brandy, that kind of smell. And I enjoy that smell. It smells really nice. It's definitely woody as well, and there's a healthy amount of leather and patchouli in this one. Most of those notes tend to smell masculine to me. This is a very masculine, very manly, mature smelling fragrance. So it would tend to be popular with and suggestive of someone 30, 40 and upwards. It smells mature. It smells like the kind of fragrance the person who would wear it would be someone who has a Bentley car, someone who has achieved a lot in life and is not afraid to smell strong, to put a forthright and a strong image of himself forward to the rest of the world. But he's also, these notes tend to be heavy and would be not playful. They're very dense, rich, masculine notes. Okay, so if you're looking to go clubbing, you're a young person, if you're looking to wear something safe for the office, even whatever age you are, this is probably not a great choice. What it is a great choice for is for nights out, formal occasions, and if you're maybe dressed up in a suit, those kind of things, then it feels appropriate to wear a fragrance that really pushes out there and says, I smell strong, masculine, powerful. It's an in-your-face kind of scent profile with this one. I should mention the incense in there. That's very important, and it just gives it the little, I've got some on my hand, gives it this little air of sophistication and intensity, and takes it away from maybe things like, I'm a bit reminded of Givenchy Gentleman from the 70s with this one, because it does have a lot of leather and patchouli. They both share that aspect, but this is first of all sweeter than Givenchy Gentleman, with the boozy note that you don't get in that one, and that incense thing gives it this twist, a much more modern feel than that one. In fact, it reminds me a little bit, just a tiny bit in that way, of something like Andy Tauer's L'air de Desert Moroccan. It's got that little sophistication and that modernity, that exoticism that we get more with modern niche fragrances. A lot of people compare this to Olfactive Studios Chambre Noire. Indeed, I've smelt that, and there is a lot of similarity, and I wouldn't say that people saying this is just a lower quality version of that and it's just cheaper, so if you can't afford that, maybe get this. I don't think that's fair. I think they're both really good, but this holds its own absolutely for me, and it does have this niche quality smell about it. Great fragrance. It's really powerful. If you're into fragrances, it's exciting, it's interesting, it's not boring. It's masculine, it's got these aromatics with the clary sage and the bay leaf in there. It's complex, and it's a very well made fragrance. It's not the kind of thing you can easily reach for. Versatility is not its strong point. That's why I think a lot of us probably love it and have a bottle, but like me, it's still nearly full after having it quite a while, because it's not one you can reach for in many situations. That's its downside for this fragrance. So in the opening, it's very boozy. The booziness goes away, and over time, the benzoin and the leathery element and the woodiness become the main things that are left. So you're going to get over time just this kind of sweet, woody, quite vanillic kind of smell with a little bit of a leathery masculine feel as well. So although it's quite masculine, it's a modern form of masculinity which embraces the sweetness that is now de rigueur in many men's fragrances. So we've got an element of that sweetness in there, making it not smell like a 70s fragrance. So the development, complex, changes, goes through different stages, starts out boozy, gets a little bit herbal in the middle, and then goes down to a dry, woody feel mixed with a nice benzoin vanilla element. Very nice development on this one. Great fragrance, not that easy to wear in many different situations. So don't think you could use it as a signature scent unless you're very brave. So let's move on and compare. So this is Bentley for Men Absolute. Great bottle, again, same thing, but all black. This one, completely different story. This is compared to Gucci Pour Homme, the #1 version of that, not the #2 that smells like tea. And I have had a small sample, and I can see there is a similarity, but I have never had enough of that to test it against this, so I'm not really going to comment. But most people say there's a real similarity. Same perfumer. That one you can't get anymore unless you want to pay really high prices on eBay. This isn't exactly the same, most people say, but it's, if you liked the Gucci fragrance, you will like this, and it will get you pretty close. You might prefer this in some way, but they're a little bit different, but very similar. What does it smell like then? Got some on here. Well, dry, woody and spicy would be a really succinct summary of how Bentley Absolute smells. It's got a dry, woody, spicy overall feel. Again, very much masculine. There's a pencil shaving thing going on. A lot of people mention that, and I would have sworn there must be some vetiver, but I guess other woody notes can achieve that too. Famously, Encre Noire from Lalique, which was by Natalie Lawson, who did this, has a pencil shaving kind of smell about it. That has a lot of vetiver. I would have sworn there's vetiver in this, but apparently it's other woody notes. But it definitely has that woody, maybe slightly ashy, pencil shaving type feel, which of course not everyone's going to find that appealing, but I find it very nice because it's so well mixed in with the other elements. The pink pepper in here gives it this sort of zingy, little bit of sweetness about it actually. Pink pepper can have a sweet or almost rose-like smell, I think, apparently. And there is a touch of sweetness. I say dry, but I think as 860 Cologne said in his review of this one, in fragrances, unlike in wine, you can have dry and sweet at the same time in a smell, and this kind of seems to have that. And as it dries down, the sweetness seems to come through for me a little bit more than the very in-your-face woody element that bursts out in the beginning of the fragrance. So that's interesting. Also, ambergris is listed on base notes, I think, whereas the listing I gave said amber. So maybe amber and ambergris sometimes get mixed up in fragrance listings. And I did get this similarity to some of the dry downs on Creed fragrances, where of course ambergris is a key note. So it has this slightly sort of sweet, woody dry down, which I really enjoy. So it's spicy, it's woody, it's peppery. There's a little bit of zingy sweetness and freshness in there as well. Definitely not citrus freshness though, it's more of a peppery type fresh masculine feel. There's ginger in this one too, so that's another kind of slightly potentially fresh smelling type of spice, which I really like the way the spiciness and woodiness combine in this fragrance. Oud is also mentioned as a note. It's definitely not an oud bomb or one for people who are really heavily into oud, looking for a real oud fragrance. There's a dusting of oud maybe. It does remind me actually, as I mentioned in one of my other videos, of Creed's Royal Oud, in that they are both very woody, a little bit of pepper, pink peppers in both I think, and there's this sort of, if there's oud it's not obvious, but there is this slightly exotic ashy woody feel that I think comes from a little bit of oudophobe friendly agar wood, aka oud, in each one. So I think that's another nice interesting exotic element. There is incense listed in the notes as well, so there's complexity and a touch of the exotic going on in here. Woody, masculine, little bit fresh but not in a citric way, more in a woody spicy fresh way. And this one is versatile. You can wear this in the daytime. I've worn it to work. I wouldn't wear Bentley Intense to work, it doesn't seem appropriate. This one I would, so that's in its favour. It's definitely more versatile in seasons. This one, Intense, you feel like it's got to be really cold because it's so boozy and heavy. It feels weird to wear it when the weather's a little bit warmer or milder. This one you can wear any time in the evening or in the daytime. I think it's okay for work if you don't go mad with the trigger, and I think it wins in terms of versatility. So we better now talk about performance on these two. So the performance on Bentley for Men Intense, the boozy leathery one, is really, really good. The projection is in the good to very good category, and for me the longevity is in the very good to excellent range. It really, really lasts. Projection is big but not offensively so. It's not beast mode, but it's not far off. Similar kind of story for me with Bentley Absolute. Really, really good performer. Maybe just the same thing but just a little bit less, maybe 80% of the level of Bentley Intense. Okay, so that's the performance. I always say it's really subjective with performance, but they're both good performers. So which one wins for me? Well, if I was to say which one of them has the smell that excites me most, I think it's Bentley Intense, because it's so exotic, it's so rich, it's so fascinating, and it really brings a smile and a wow to my face and to my lips when I smell it. I say wow often when I spray this one and smell it. So if I had to just go on the overall smell, I'd say this one's more spectacular, more of a work of art. But in terms of a fragrance that I would want to wear and use, and if I could only have one and I had to wear one for a whole week, I'd definitely pick Bentley Absolute, because it's more versatile and it's going to be more crowd pleasing. It's a safer scent, but it's still not boring. It's still a really interesting scent. So on my overall verdict, I don't want to sit on the fence, so I will give the overall win to Bentley Absolute, a really great woody, spicy masculine scent, so much different to some of the other stuff out there. Also Bentley Intense, absolutely excellent. I'd give them both 9 out of 10, but on the tie break to say which one's more wearable and more versatile, I'd have to say Bentley Absolute is going to find more of a place in your fragrance rotation more easily than the Intense. Both great scents, love them both, and if you can afford it, just buy both. The winner for me, Bentley Absolute. More fragrance showdowns to come soon. Let me know what you thought of this video and if you've tried either of these. As ever, thank you very much for watching, and whatever we're doing in life, let's project. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.